how someone's got to save them. Save the children. And if you say that love the answer, why don't we begin? Or will we just end?
Hi, this is Miss Evelyn. Welcome to another segment of Visions for a Child's Heart. As you may recall, I indicated that November is National Adoption Month, and this month all of our programming is going to be focused specifically on issues related to adoption. So we have back today as our special guest Dr. Robbin Rasbury. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about her experience in searching for her birth parents. So in our last segment, we ended with talking about when after you had been told, and that was something that you knew in your heart that you wanted to do, was to seek out your birth mom. And so at 18, when you went away to college, is when you actually decided to begin that search.
Right, and I did it slowly. And what I did was I took classes in child welfare to kind of understand, and then I interviewed the adoption agency that I was adopted in. By Children's Home Society in Los Angeles. And even though I was adopted up here in the Bay Area I was placed through Children's Home Society here in San Jose, is that I went through a class. I ended up finding out information about my birth mother and my birth father.
Okay, so when you said that you interviewed the agency, you interviewed them about your specific issue or just adoption in general?
Adoption in general, because it was a class assignment, so that was my paper.
Perfect.
So I said, okay, and so I went to Children's Home Society, interviewed a social worker or caseworker at the agency. And I was asking her the general questions about adoption. Like, how does that happen? How does a child become a part of the system? Tell me how your agency works with records, open records, closed records. And as I was asking those types of questions, by the end of the interview, she says, by any chance, are you adopted? So I was thinking I was being really smart.
Being sort of subtle.
But, she picked up, and I said, so based on that, she did give me non-identifying information.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so she, was kind enough. I thought that was that was the beginning of my search.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And actually, I mentioned to you, my first job out of undergraduate school, undergraduate school was with the Children's Home Society.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right,
but actually I
right.
worked through the one in San Francisco and then the one in Oakland.
Okay.
Wow. So what information did she give you, the non-identifying information?
Is the age of my birth mother when she relinquished me, a little bit about her job, history, work history, height, weight, education, just a brief blurb about that, a little bit about my birth father, again, no names, height, weight. I was a little disappointed.
Okay, yeah, well, that was my next question. What was your question? You were disappointed in which parts?
It was that my father was 5'8".
Okay.
I said, oh, he's short.
A little short man.
Right, so that's why I'm short. But anyway, so saw that. So it's, again, not thinking I had any fantasies, but learning, when I would read information, that surprised me.
Okay.
So, and then learned about my birth mother's, her family, was that there were fraternal twins in her family. So I got excited about that. Oh, so I could possibly have twins.
Okay.
So there was information that I was kind of disappointed, but I held on to that for dear life. Yeah.
So the twins and the height surprised you. Was there anything else that surprised you?
Just how they spoke about my birth mother. They didn't say a lot, but it wasn't necessarily all. It didn't give me the information that I was hoping. It's like they talked about if she had bad teeth. Why would that be in a report? How was that going to help me understand who she was? But it was how they even talked about her in that respect.
That also brings up the issue for me, one, just in the child welfare system, period, how social workers and how our perception of clients are, and how we have to be really careful and how we write things down about people. I have issues with reporting. The other part is just the light and what people's experiences are, how they perceive birth parents. And one of the things that I also want to do is to bring another awareness to people why some birth parents do relinquish their children. To have some understanding. It doesn't necessarily condone it, but just to be able to walk in their shoes. And I think, again, that whole adoption triad, it doesn't make that person a bad person. And also during that time, I think probably we were looking at some of the racial issues too. Her being, a black woman, or at that time, relinquishing a child. I'm almost willing to bet anything that the social worker was not a person of color. Yeah. So, and not that it doesn't happen otherwise, but I think in those. Yeah. But anyway, moving on. I can get stuck in a place. But there's some things I just got to say. So, you got that information. You're a freshman in college at this point, or
freshman?
Okay.
Freshman in college.
Okay. So you said you went slowly. So you got this information and you sort of absorbed that, took that in.
And then I mentioned it to my adoptive mom, and she was again, oh, that's nice, but didn't say very much. And I guess too, what I'd like to say is that when searches are occurring, when an adoptee wants to find, is that sometimes the adoptee will feel loyalty challenges. Like they don't want to hurt the adoptive parents, but they also want to find. So it's how to navigate that. So I kind of just didn't say very much anymore, and I didn't. I stopped the search at that point. I just kind of waited because I said I didn't want to hurt her. I did not want to hurt her.
And that's a real tricky one for a lot of people I know. That can be very difficult, and my heart goes out, to the both, the adoptee as well as the adoptive parent. But I also feel like the adoptive parent needs to be a little bit more mature and have a better understanding. And that also states why, as adoptive parents, we need to be clear about why it is that we're adopting, too. Because our needs can overshadow the child's needs. And we need to be able to be open enough to be able to accommodate all of our needs. And I think the child really should be first. Yeah. But that's my say about that.
I got that. And I appreciate you saying that, too. I do, because it is important. And I think, too, it's also for us as an adoptee, is that sometimes it can be the experience of we want to please and we don't want to hurt. And that's really
and you're
the big
hurting
piece.
yourself.
And it's not even the adoptive parent who's saying it's not okay. So sometimes we can also maybe sometimes miss cues. But I appreciate what you're saying, though, that adoptive parents, please be open to hearing. And it's not going to hurt the relationship.
Exactly. So you stopped your search.
And then my adoptive mom died when I was in my mid-20s. And so I'd graduate from college. I didn't do much with it. I just kind of held on to it. And again, because it was kind of scary. It was just, how do I do this? And also, my records were sealed. So I didn't have permission to, to open my records.
And could you explain to our audience what sealed records
means? That all identifying information, all identifying information about medical history of the birth parents, are sealed by the court once the adoption is finalized. And what will happen, like I have now, I have a birth certificate, but my birth certificate is as the adoptee, not with my birth name, because my birth name is Linda.
So because your records were sealed, you couldn't go
and access them. And I still, to this day, cannot access my medical records, even though I'm in reunion now.
Wow. So what was your next step?
And so what my next step was, about 3 years after my mother had died, I had joined an organization called ALMA, and they are an association that helps adoptees with searching for their birth parents.
And ALMA is an acronym
for adoption, liberation. I may be getting the acronyms wrong, but I can't remember the exact.
Something association. Matching or something? But I do remember.
But it's a national organization. And they were very helpful. So what they were able to find for me was identify her name. my birth mother's name.
Hmm.
But that was all they were able to find,
Okay.
not where she lived.
First and last name?
First and last
Okay.
name. And so we tried to find, her and where she was, but we couldn't do it.
Okay.
And so then that's where I stopped again.
Okay. So you're about 26 now?
Yeah, 26, 27.
Okay. And how did you feel when you got the name and then when you couldn't do anything with that?
When I got the name, again, it was another surprise because of what her name was. I didn't expect it to be that name. I didn't know what I thought it was going to be. But when I heard the name, it was like, oh, okay. Sounds like an older name,
Okay.
And the last name reminded me of someone my mother knew.
That your adoptive mother
My
knew.
adoptive mother knew, so there was a fantasy. There was something, did she know?
Okay.
And did I meet this woman? So
Okay.
part of my thing was always looking, wondering, where is this woman?
Okay.
Where is this woman?
Okay. Right. And then when you could not locate her.
Then I just said, well, okay, maybe it's not the time now.
Okay.
So I just went on
So you
with
just
life.
accepted that.
Right. I would just accept it. Said, well, one day.
Okay.
I always knew in my heart from when I heard the story when I was 13 to the time I actually found her, I knew I was going to find her.
Okay.
I just didn't know when it was going to happen, but I just knew I was on the journey to that happening.
Okay.
And then fast forward to being in and then I joined Alma again, and they were able to, oh no, not Alma, it was another organization, Cub, that works with birth mothers. And I joined that group.
Okay.
It was a support group. And in that group, there was searchers that helped adoptees and birth parents find each other and connect them.
And CUB is an acronym as well?
Right, for Concerned United Birth Parents, or birth mothers.
Okay.
Okay, or birth parents. So, and that was down in Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
So I then found them, and they were able to then locate my birth mother where she lived, and then I got information about siblings. Because all these years I never thought about siblings or that there would be other people that I would be maybe meeting for the first time. I was just thinking about finding her.
Okay.
So that was, again, one of the journeys. But I do need to go backwards a little bit, and this is a little out of order because I did make contact with her through Alma at one point when I joined it. I said a second time before I joined Cub, so I'm hoping this will be clear because I know it kind of goes back and forth, is that I had her address.
Okay.
I mean, her phone number.
Okay.
So I called her, and I actually spoke to her on the phone. And the phone conversation was brief, and I said I wanted to at least just talk to her, write her a letter. She said that was okay. I asked her if she could call me back. She said she couldn't talk at that time. So I sent her a self-addressed envelope, a letter to her, but I never got a response. I never got a response.
Okay.
And so in that way, that was really a hard experience for me.
Because that was a form of a rejection.
That was a second.
Right.
And so that hit harder because it's like, okay, I'm now an adult. I'm not the child. So maybe now she'd be able to at least have a conversation with me or respond, and she did not.
Picking up that phone to call, can you tell me just a little bit more about what you were feeling, what you said, the response?
Well, the thing about Alma, they help you with a script. So I had a script of how to talk, how to begin that conversation.
Was that comfortable for you?
Well, as comfortable as it could be.
Okay.
It's not comfortable because it's
Okay.
a scary thing to make contact with somebody who has given you up for adoption, placed you, relinquished you, whatever the word is.
Right.
Okay.
Well, but I figured you have that
Right.
part, but then you have a script that's somebody else's words. That's what I was wondering.
But the words really fit
Okay.
with the experience.
Okay.
So they really have a good understanding about what an adoptee is going to feel in making contact. So, and also trying to help them navigate that so there's no anger and taking the emotions out of it.
Okay.
But it was very scary. It was I was very nervous, out of breath, the whole thing. Had the script, not sure if I even followed it,
Okay.
But just let her know who I was, asked if she had ever relinquished a child, gave my birth name, and she did say yes.
Yes, okay.
And she paused, so it was like, uh-oh, what happened? She got very quiet.
Okay.
And, but she did acknowledge that I was her birth child. but that she said she couldn't talk and there's too many people around.
Okay.
So that's why I was trying to say to her, here's my number, but I realized I didn't ask her to repeat the number back, so she didn't write the number down.
Okay.
So how I interpreted that was that she did not really want to have contact with me anymore, at all.
And the other part of that, too, was that you were still a secret.
Still the secret.
You were a secret that she somehow was either ashamed of or for whatever reason wasn't willing to bring into.
Right.
Yeah.
I was still the secret.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Wow, that must have. Now, what type of support did you have in the process? You mentioned, I guess Alma and Cub. Well, this was before you got to Cub.
Right.
What kind of support did they provide for you, especially emotional support? Because I'm concerned about.
They had support groups, that you would go, and there would be other people who were having the same experience.
Okay.
And so that was it. There weren't therapists that were involved in that organization.
Okay. And was that helpful?
Yes, it was very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt very supportive because part of the world of it being adoptee, when you're with another adoptee, it's like there's certain words that you don't have to say.
Yes.
The experience is understood.
Yes.
Even though it can be different. But
Yes.
there's certain things about, if you say you want to search, get it, understand it. You don't want to search, get it, understand it. Because it's a journey. Being an adoptee is a journey.
Yes.
And it's lifelong, and it goes on. It goes away for a while, but then it always comes back, depending on what's going on in your life.
Exactly. I have to take a breath because I can't even imagine, that. So you said, okay, I'll be okay with this.
Right, but I was not okay with the rejection.
Right, but you were going to leave it where it was.
And I also got therapy.
Good.
Individual therapy for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that really hit me hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fast forward, how many more years?
Let's see. I've been in reunion now for 4 years. So I was probably in my late 40s.
Okay, when you searched again.
When I searched again.
Through Cub?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, through Cub.
Okay.
Through Cub.
So tell us about that experience.
Right, and the reason I searched at that time had to do with the fact that I was having medical problems and that my blood pressure went up really high. I was losing lots of weight. I was going to doctors. I was having a lot of problems that didn't quite fit how my life had been medically. And the doctors, I would go to the doctors and they would tell
ask
me about my history, my your medical history, your birth, your family history. And of course, I'm saying I'm adopted. Oh, that's right. You're adopted. So for tests, like again, would they give me more tests? No, they wouldn't, ask for MRIs or anything to kind of look at that. It would be, well, we don't know, so we'll just kind of see how you do. I would go back. Again, I'm saying I'm having these symptoms. My pressure was just shooting up, going down, and even though other being African American, there was no other reason why, based on my weight, based on my diet, or what have you, lifestyle, or anything very active. So again, I kept going back and kept getting the same thing, even getting glasses. It was like, oh, we're looking at your eyes. What's your medical, your family history again? Oh, that's right, you're adopted.
Yes, that keeps coming.
And it was just like that. That was the way they would say it. Oh, that's right, you're adopted. We don't know. And I got tired of that. And I got really angry because, again, my feeling is around sealed records for adult adoptees is that when does it become a part of the right of us knowing what is going on in our family history that can help us as we're getting older and to be aware of. And when other people who are not adopted and they can have that and always go back, it helps them know and make a choice about how to live the life.
Right. Now, one of my questions, because I remember when I was an adoption social worker, I asked those kinds of things of the relinquishing adoptive parents so that they would be in the records. Some certain things we can't be real specific about because you can't project it, but there was nothing about that in.
No, but again, you're thinking about the mid-50s, how detailed were the records at that time, medical information, so that her medical information was, everybody's healthy. Everything's fine. And so what I ended up doing was saying, and talked with Cub, and it was like, you know what, this is the time I'm going to have to force this. I'm going to have to say, if for nothing else, let me get my medical information so then I can deal with the doctors and see what's going on with me. And that's how I ended up finding about who she was, and I made a phone call.
Okay.
and it was a completely different experience.
Okay. So what happened then?
And so when I called her and went through again that script, I still asked if, if she remembered me and all that, and she said, sure. She said, where are you?
Okay.
She said, where are you? And I kind of threw me back because it was like, oh, well, I'm in Los Angeles. Oh, I thought you were across the street, or I thought you were here. And it kept throwing me because it was like, but I'm in Los Angeles. But what I learned, and she was open to seeing me.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to come up and see you because I need some information. She says, okay, when are you coming? A completely different experience.
Wow.
But I didn't trust it. And so I kept checking in with her for a couple of weeks.
So she wouldn't change up on you.
So she wouldn't change up with me. And then the change did come when I said I had my plane reservations and I'm coming. And I called and I said, called her by name and said who I was, identified myself. And the person said, I don't know who you are. And I said, oh, no, here we go again. I said, let's not do this because I'm coming. I'm coming. And I also knew that I had 9 brothers and sisters. I learned through the search that I have 9 younger brothers and sisters, which was overwhelming and exciting and all of that. But she would not tell my siblings that I was, again, coming or I existed. But I found out I ended up meeting one of my sisters on the phone because she was the one who
answered
the phone. So that's how she learned about me.
Okay. So that she was the one who said, I don't know who you are.
Right.
So it wasn't your mother changing up. It was
okay.
My okay.
One of my sisters. Right. And so we ended up having a wonderful conversation, but it was kind of,
awkward.
Right, awkward at first. And then because she was told about me when she was probably around 9 or 10.
Oh.
Right, by her father.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So somebody did know about you.
Right. 2 others. My youngest, the brother below me, and the sister below him, and this other sister. So 3 knew about me.
Okay.
Remember, there's 9. So
wow.
the first 3 knew.
I'm sure you have lots of stories to tell, and we're going to actually run out of time. And actually, what I would say to our audience is that if you're interested in hearing more about this story, I want you to email us at heart@forachildsheart.org, and it should be at the lower part of your screen, heart@forachildsheart.org, and tell us, write questions, things that you would like to ask of Dr. Robbin, and we will have you to come back. Okay. Because I think we even talked about doing sort of a series of workshops.
Right.
So this would be the opportunity. So I just want to say that because we're not going to get it all in. But I want to fast forward today.
Yes.
What are things like, because that was 4 years ago.
Yes.
How did that change your life? We've got 5 minutes. And what are your relationships like with family now?
What has really changed significantly was that I stopped having to look around to wonder who my family is. There's a grounding that I didn't have before because I was always wondering, could you be my sister? Could you be my mother? Could you be my,
Isn't there a story, a fairy tale or storybook about a little bird or something saying, are you my mommy or my mommy?
Right.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
And it was always, and not consciously, always, but it was in situations where people said, yeah, you look like my brother or you look like my sister or something
and
like that.
there was that question mark.
Like,
I wonder if they
I wonder if they are. Okay, could there be? And so for me, it was that I find now I'm not looking around.
Okay.
And there's a peace, there's a calm, a calmness. So that was for me, and so that's what I would say about that experience.
Great. And how have the relationships with your mom, birth mom, and siblings settled at this point?
Right, and at this point, it's been more about getting to know each other. There are some that I'm closer to than others. But I have to say that they all, when I first came into the family, it was like that Antoine Fisher moment. Everybody came and greeted me in a real positive way. And so, but now I'm here. They wanted me to move up to the Bay Area. They encouraged me. A few brothers came down to LA and moved me up here. So they really wanted me to be a part of the family. So they see me as very much a part of the family.
Wow. And your interactions with your mom?
And my interactions with my mom is that there was, for my birth mom, we have a relationship. She recognizes me, she knows me, but sometimes the conversations that we can have are limited because she's more withdrawn. More withdrawn.
Okay. So I'm sure that you had some image before, or some question of the image that she has had, that who she might be.
Right.
And now you have
the reality
of
who
it.
she is.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Well, I appreciate you sharing this. I know you've got a book
Right.
inside yourself, so I can't wait till you start writing that and put that out. And I believe that we actually will probably end up doing some work with adoptees and families based on both your personal experience, my personal experience, and then both from our clinical experience.
Right.
So you will see, Dr. Robbin, actually by the time this is aired, you will probably have already viewed an interview with us talking about some of the therapeutic and clinical issues, because Dr. Robbin is a psychologist, I'm a marriage family therapist, and we're going to talk about the impact on foster and adopted children and families in the community. So you will probably have already viewed that by the time you see this interview. So in the meantime, thank you so much, and we're going to depend on our viewers to let us know how much they want to hear about the rest, and we'll come back and give them a little bit more details.
I would like that.
How do you think your family will feel about you sharing this with the world?
I mentioned it to one of my sisters just the other day, or last night actually, that I was going to be doing this, and she just said, okay.
Okay.
I think my extended family, like aunts and uncles, they understand, and they'd be okay.
Actually, at some point, I would even like to do an interview with siblings. I have a relative who was actually adopted outside of our family and came back when he became an adult. And we were like all really close. And my desire is to interview his siblings, who are my cousins, about him being adopted outside of the family. So I think...
And that would be, and I've also talked to some of my sisters, and they'd be willing to do that as well.
Right,
yes.
yeah, because I think the sibling impact, both the adopted siblings, the birth siblings, that's a part that gets left out as well. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Visions for a Child's Heart, and we look forward to seeing you again. Check out our website, www.forachildsheart.org, and do something special for a child's heart. Bye-bye.